So we were inspired to write Heretic from the standpoint that we've known each other since we were kids, and ever since then, I think we've had our own versions of theological debates and like this looming question of what happens when you die, and wondering about that existential quandary. And I think as we got older, you know, we started collecting so many friends and family members from different belief backgrounds. And the more that we learned about other belief systems, the more that we wanted to find a vessel at which we could have these conversations on screen.
And I think there was also just like the showmanship part of the piece of like doing a roller coaster ride of a movie where the thrills don't come from cheap jump scares or monsters hiding in the shadows. It comes from dialogue and intellectual ideas and philosophical ideas. Like, could we turn a jump scare into just a line that somebody says? And then would that in some way actually be more powerful because it can potentially get stuck in the audience's head? So I think we kind of combined this theological debate with our experiment of doing a dialogue-driven horror film. Yeah, you would think that we had him in mind, because when we finished writing the script, we were terrified of casting, because we just felt like, well, who could play this role? It was like finding a unicorn or something, and eventually we just kept gravitating back to Hugh. We love the idea of weaponizing 30 years of goodwill that he has built up with an audience, people who love him and trust him, and using that as an anchor to get our sister missionaries and therefore the audience into this dangerous house. But more than that, we just think in the last 10 years he's proven to be one of the great character actors in cinema history, and it's been really inspiring as admirers of his work to see the crazy, bold choices that he makes. This is somebody who decided to play an Oompa Loompa in a Wonka movie. This is somebody who, is the villain in Paddington 2, and then also does all these incredible character turns with Guy Ritchie. And that to us is, we just recognized an artist who wanted to take a big chance with every role that he takes, and we thought maybe he'd be a good fit for Mr. Reed. Well, we needed the greatest we basically needed the greatest team of crew in the history of cinema, because the film is a chamber piece and it's dialogue driven, and the last thing we wanted to do was film a stage play. So we needed Chung Hoon Chung, who shot Old Boy, to elevate the sense of atmosphere and terror with his framing and his lighting. We needed Betsy Hyman, who started her career with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. We needed her to come in and create kind of three iconic wardrobe choices for our leads, because we're going to be staring at them the whole movie. Phil Messina, who we adore, who anything from Hunger Games to Aronofsky's Mother, he really embraced this idea of like Dante's Inferno, where the deeper into the house you get, the more and more kind of terrifying, and you're peeling back layers, and it's exposing something in Reed's nature and his true identity, the deeper you get into the house. And all of those tools of cinema were necessary for us to make sure that the movie felt grand and huge in scope, even though it's very intimate and personal in its ideas and its conversation.
This is a movie that is made for the theatrical experience of seeing it with hundreds of strangers in a darkened theater. It's a movie that at once is scary, it's thrilling, and yet it's darkly comical too, especially using Hugh Grant in his darkest role yet. And I think if people want to submit themselves to the dangers of this film, it's going to provoke them in ways that hopefully they're not expecting once they finally see it.
I think it is time.
Time for what?
Time for a new game.
クワイエットプレイスの脚本家が仕掛ける。
It's not going through. You've seen it once. I think that we're being studied.
最悪の脱出ゲームが始まる。
It will make your hearts beat faster. It may even make you want to die.
仕掛けられた罠。
Scary.
生きて出られるか。異端者の家。